Hey, folks. It's Monday, September 30th, and I'm Rob, that developer dad. We're going to get started here in a few minutes. We had some power events here over the weekend, so my Windows laptop is still booting up and getting connected and everything like that. Um, so, yeah, it's been an eventful 4 or 5 days here in North Carolina, to say the least. Me and mine are fine. We we weren't in the direct path of the big storm that came through, but some or a lot of towns, even just an hour away, hour to the west of us, have been wiped off the map. Places that we've always meant to go see and never got to are gone. Places where we've spent quite a lot of time and dollars over the 20 plus years we've been living here in North Carolina, um, are going to be years before they're back to normal and recovered. It's pretty mind blowing. Everything that everything that I've been seeing on Facebook and TikTok and so on and so forth. Streets that we've played on, villages that we've visited, and have built a lot of fond memories over, are just devastated. It's it's mind blowing to me, and I mean that stuff is trivial compared to the folks that are stuck there, trying to survive right now. There's most of the roads in and out of the area are washed away or closed. Um, it's there's no power, no internet. A lot of the water systems have been destroyed because we're 300 miles inland and it's the mountains. Nobody expects a hurricane to drop billions of gallons of water over the span of 2 days on this wide area. And of course, if it falls on the mountains, it all flows down, and eventually it can't run out fast enough, so it builds up and everything's flooded. It's crazy. Like there's a lot of adjectives being used, and the biggest one I can think of is just unimaginable. And we were so close. So yeah, it's been a little bit hard to focus on code and D and silly things like that. But I'm here today, and we're gonna get back at it as best I'm able to. So yeah, if I'm a little distracted, please bear with me. Um, and we're gonna dive in as soon as my laptop finishes waking itself up. I can close the cover because it is actually logging in right now. And as soon as it's online and I can get Visual Studio loaded, we'll dive in. I did refine my color scheme and the backgrounding and stuff like that. I did manage to do a little bit of tinkering last night or yesterday afternoon in between bouts of Diablo 4. And I was really struggling with the styling and the color schemes and so on that I had come up with um, during the latter half of last week. I wasn't really in love with what I was seeing there, so I was like, you know what? What says Dungeon Master? And what popped into my head was graph paper, and I think I've managed to come up with a fairly decent color scheme and background scheme that I can use in my application. So let's see if Remote Desktop has woken up yet. It has. Good. So I'm going to pop this guy open. And while it's doing its thing, I need a couple of Finder windows because I need BG Grid SVG. I'm going to copy that guy. And open up my network in a new tab. TDD SRV will connect. Come on, you can do it. Connect. Go into LAN public. Drop that SRV or that SVG right there. So yeah, I think I want to go with this blue and white with some transparent and some blur effects and all of this stuff. Part of me wants to zhuzh this up a little bit and instead of going with the no repeat on the gradient and the cover, what if I go to contain and save? No, that's probably not the right way to do it. What if I go here, contain, and I just heard back from a friend of mine whose family lives in the affected area. I'll reply to her in between the streams. Yeah, I don't like that because it repeats the gradient. So if I just go cover, save, there's that repeated gradient again. What if I go no repeat and contain, save it again? No, that made it worse. Let's refresh. Oh yeah, that screwed it all up. Save, refresh. See, the tricky thing with this gradient is the vertical gradient wants to repeat itself, and I don't want that to happen. I wonder if I split that out, come to the head of this line, and go background image, do that. I probably need to put this guy underneath, or perhaps not. Get rid of this. And it's still really hard to see there. What if I flip that back to background? Save it. Nope. All right. Let's see if Visual Studio is awake yet. Oh yeah, it is. Good. And this is loading. Still needs some time. Okay, so it doesn't like that at all. what if I contain, come home, get rid of that. Pop in here, save that, refresh, doesn't like that either. Well, then we'll do this. No repeat. Save, refresh, doesn't like it. Okay, so there's that. That ain't bad. I think that's actually pretty close to what I want. Yeah, that's very close to what I'm looking for. So let's see how Visual Studio is doing. Good. Here we go. So our base bars, these are all fine. Color info, blah, blah, blah. Opaque one, translucent. All of this stuff, I think, well, let's take a look. We'll run the app. Have a little sippy sip of coffee. You're gonna load for me? Here we go. It's coming. Slowly but surely. And I have a feeling that we're going to need to get into navmenu.razor.css. If not this morning, then this afternoon. Because I do want to get that tidied up and unbootstrapped. Okay, so here's what we've got right now. And I'm not really in love with it. Not really in love with it at all. Like the greens and stuff, it's very soothing, but it also feels very, very flat. Oh, I remembered who I was. Like it feels really drab, and I think part of the issue here is this ugly blue to purple or blue to violet gradient over here that's brought in through the standard Blazor UI stuff. Um, Once that's tidied up, I think it'll be, or once it's brought into the color scheme that I want to use, it'll be a bit better. But these drab greens and so on just they don't feel great to me. So, what if, yeah, because that just looks like something you'd find in a baby's diaper, like those yellowish greens, browns there. I don't care for that at all. Not even a little bit. So yeah, let's bring in the stuff that I did over the weekend. So I got to hit images and I got to bring open an Explorer window and pop down to local disk C, land public, BG grid, you're coming with me. And you're going into the images folder. All right. Now, here's colors. And what I'm going to do is we're going to get rid of layer tint and layer shade. That's gone. I'm going to come over to my variables. And I've got too bloody many colors over here. So I'm going to get rid of brand contrast and brand accent. And my color brand main as RGB is not 05050. It's going to be, I believe I've got it over here in VS Code. Nope, over in VARs. So that's white. Color hue is 220. Oh, for crying out loud. Oh, it's over here in my, nope, it's not in my linear gradient. All right, so color hue 220, 90, and 50. Let's see if I can find a converter. New window. Convert HSL to RGB. And let's see here. That's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted either. Freaking unskippable ads. Go away. So it's 220, 90, and 40, I believe I said. 90 and 50. HSL 220, 90%, 50% is 1389, 242. I'm going to round those. So I'm going to pull this guy over here. Whoop. And we're going to shrink that down. Color brand main. So that the converter says 1389, 242. I'm going to go 15, 90, 240. Save. And we'll run it and see what that surfaces for us. Probably really ugly. Refresh, nope. That doesn't do what I wanted it to do, so that means our colors are probably not quite right. All right, so layer tint, we're going to go with layer lighten. You go to color black. Save. Hot reload. Fully refresh. For some reason, it's not picking up the new CSS. Inspect. Main class centered content, display flex, main class, body, background color is color white, app host, no background color there, feature host, how about you? For some reason, color brand main is still. Let's see if there is a way to hard reload. More tools. Read aloud, learning toolkit. Search bar, browser task manager, developer tools. I've already got the developer tools open. DOM breakpoints, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's still got. Copy link address, copy file name. Not what I want to do. Hard refresh. That's more like it. Okay, now instead of this hard blue background, what if let's come out to colors, layer 1. Let's go to color white. And we'll go to transparent. Oops. Pop that open, refresh. All right, so we're back to the boring old plain white background, right? Let's make it a little bit more exciting. Pop over here into styles. Not quite what I want to do here, but we'll get there. So let's grab this, copy that. Don't want to do that. I want to go HTML, background. And I'm going to bump these guys in here a little bit. Now, color hue doesn't exist. So that's going to act a fool for us. Yeah, see, that's all completely invalid. Let's hard refresh. Nope, guess not. So instead of this var color hue, let's change this to RGBA, RGBA, and I'm going to go var, no, I'm going to go from var, color brand, RGB, slash, I lost my transparency value, 0.25. 0.25, and var layer 1. Save it. Refresh. Why are you playing me? I might still have some issues here. Comment that. Save. Hot reload. Load it up. Okay. Let's strip things right down. Let's inspect. So main centered content is fine. Feature host. Has no background color. Oh, there it is, feature host layer 1. Body background color is var color white. Is that being overridden over here? Yep. We're going to comment those. Save. Reload. Hard refresh. Nothing yet. We're going to track it down. It's going to be one piece at a time. Height is full. Font set. Font weight light. Root layer 1. Root. All of these. Background is linear gradient. Okay, let's simplify. Let's come over to here. Comment all this nonsense out. We'll bring it back once. We've got that. Darn keystroke combinations. You'd think I'd learn. Pop that open. HTML. Okay. Inspect. Scroll all the way up. Feature host. Let's take a look here. Feature host. I'm going to start commenting all of these background colors out. And we're going to bring them back one at a time. Hot reload. And in this file, I want to find background. I'm skeptical. Centered content, border top, border bottom. Okay. So there's nothing really there for background. And we'll refresh. Hard refresh. Okay, I might have this wrong. It's entirely possible. That's root. All right. So we'll pop over to colors. Get rid of the background. from here in the HTML tag. Drop it into body. Save. Hit the hot reload. Reload. Hard refresh. Give the background image the correct file name. Here's the body. Now it says there's an error here. So we'll ask GPT. Copy. Edge. I suspect that I've made a mistake with this background CSS rule. Cover. Let's try this. Just for laughs. Just for science. Save it. Save it a bunch of times. Do a hot reload. And we have our graph paper. Awesome. Excuse me. So that's good. We got that fixed up. Now, what if I grab this linear gradient? Paste it there. Give it a comma. I have a feeling that I'm going to have to do some stuff in here. Oh yeah, I totally jacked that up. If I comment this, that should theoretically come back. I'm going to stop using the command key on my Mac keyboard because it acts like the Windows key. Okay, so that's back. get rid of the no repeat. Save, hot reload. Okay, that went away. But if instead, let's come over to base vars, color brand main. We'll grab this. And we'll go RGBA 1. I'm going to grab the exact same thing. All right, RGBA. And instead of the 1, it's going to be 0.25. RGBA 255, 255, 255. Fully transparent. Save it. Do the refresh dance. And we have that. So that I quite like. But I don't want it on the desktop view. Not even a bit. I believe the keyword is contained to use for that. That's more like it. Oh, but it goes away there. That sounds like one of the cats is being a goofball. Nope. Repeat. Okay, so that's good. Close that. That's good. That's also quite good. What happens if we go full mobile view? Unterrible. Unterrible indeed. Meow. Hey, Ericamus, what's up, buddy? And 9 of 12, hello to you too. Pardon me. Okay, so that's looking considerably better. Let's sign in. Sign in. And let's see how it looks with some stuff on top of it. So here's NPCs. We're loading. We're trying to do the thing. There's Blinky Cat. Now, while that's loading, I'm going to grab this. I'm going to copy it. in Styles CSS, well, first thing I'm going to do is overwrite my clipboard. So I'm going to grab this, pop into colors, all the way to the bottom, paste in here, terminate that block, get rid of this nonsense. I'm going to grab this, and when we're at a larger screen size, we are going to, instead of a 180-degree rotation on that linear gradient, we're going to go to 90. And there I go with the wrong bloody keystroke combinations again. It's going okay, Erkimus. We've had a wild bunch of days here in North Carolina, as I'm sure you've seen on various news outlets and so on. So here's that. I'm going to have to re-inspect. That's okay. Inspect, force a reload, hard refresh. For some reason, it's not respecting this. Let's see why. Refresh. Body. Background. Linear gradient is 180 degrees. That's defined in colors. Okay, for some reason, it's not getting the override here. That's all right. Let's cut that from here. Save. And come down to styles. Paste. I think I know why. It's because I am one of the silliest of geese. Colors. Body. Paste. Save that. A little hot reload. Come over here and we have what I was looking for. So that's cool. I like that. That's pretty all right. And we'll shrink it back so that it's as if we're mobile. And that refreshes. Okay, so that's interesting. The media query. Oh, now it automatically changes. So when we're in a widescreen format, you can see our gradient is going from left to right. And then when we're in a mobile format, our gradient is going from top to bottom, which is precisely what I wanted to see happen here. So, here's root. Body is good. I'm going to get rid of this. That can go bye-bye. Do I have extraneous stuff over here in my media queries? No, I do not. Good. Save. Save all. Now, what other CSS files has I got? I've also got boxes. So body, we're not going to specify anything for the body. Yet. Let's come all the way up to the top. Here's body. You know what? Those guys should probably go into the boxes thing. Project design, you know what? It's not something that I have spent a ton of time doing, mostly because in my professional life, the project design is usually dictated to me by somebody else. Even though, when that happens, it's rarely realistic. I wish I could spend more time on project design and so on. Oh, okay, that's a little better, but it's all wrong. So apparently boxes is the wrong place to put that stuff. We're not going to have any overrides. No overriding things for body in here. I'm going to bring those values back here. Save, hot reload. Now, it's not to say that that's ideal. It's my opinion that project design should absolutely be the wheelhouse of the architect. It drives me absolutely crazy when scheduling and estimates and the design of the overall project is made by people that don't know what's involved or how the software needs to be made to happen. It seems very much driven by what the marketing folks, the check writing folks, and so on and so forth want to see happen, but that's not always terribly realistic. In my experience. Okay, so this grid is looking a whole lot better now. So I think it's time. Well, it's almost time to call it a morning. But yeah, I've done project design a couple of times, and when I have, it's the one time I did it and it wasn't overridden by other people who weren't actually doing the building. It worked very nicely. However, it requires, in order for project design to be done by the architect and have it survive the first planning meeting, the amount of trust between that architect and the product team and the team that's managing the project, there has to be a level of trust. And you're not going to be able to just start saying, I am going to do all of the project design from now on, and you all are going to have to live with it. That won't work. That's going to get you laughed out of the team. What you do need to do is, or a way to get this to actually work for you, is to project design your own tasks, your own work items before you give estimates. Now that means there's a little bit of work before sprint planning happens and while backlog grooming is happening and so on and so forth. You need to look at those backlog items, assuming that you're under some sort of agile scrum nonsense. You look at those backlog items and you actually plan out how you're going to execute that item. And then when you come to grooming and you come to sprint planning, you can say, okay, to execute this particular user story or task or whatever, these are the dependencies. This dependency enables that dependency enables that dependency enables this product or this enhancement or whatever. And I need to build them in this order, and it's going to take me X amount of time. And after you've done that a few times and you've started doing it for the other or with the other people on your team, kind of training them how to think that way, and it's actually increasing the team's velocity, then you're going to start to get a little bit more leeway. The planning folks are going to start to rely on you more and more to give them the information that they need to report further up the chain. Now, you do need to be prepared for the folks further up the chain to come back and say, that doesn't fit our budget. That doesn't fit our calendar. And that's when it becomes a negotiation. And it's like, okay, so given that budget and that calendar, we can do X. You've asked for WXYZ, but given the constraints, we can do X. And that's going to enable W, Y, Z, and perhaps even L, Q, and R down the road. But within this block of time and this block of budget, we can do X. And then it's up to the folks that hold the wallets to say, okay, go build X. Or it's a very real possibility that they could say, well, we'll just go find somebody that will tell us they can do W, X, Y, Z in this time. And you get to sit back and watch them regret it later. Never tell them I told you so. That's a career limiting move. But I've seen it happen over and over and over again. And I have had managers come back to me and go, Rob, you were right. We should have done it your way. I'm like, okay, well, let's try and do it that way next time. And sure enough, it worked. It worked great. But getting to the point where you're given the trust to do not only the technical architecture and the system design and all of that stuff, but also design how the system will be built, that requires an awful lot of a very strong trust relationship between you and your stakeholders. So there's Rob's other soapbox for today. While I was waiting for my Windows laptop to boot up, I went on a bit of a talk about what's going on in Western North Carolina right now, and boy, howdy, is it a mess. As a matter of fact, I am going to pop open a new Safari window right now. Western NC Helene Recovery Donations. And rather than go to some organization, there is in fact a state government link where people that want to help out can go. I'm going to grab this URL from Governor Cooper Helene Recovery Help. Pasting that in the chat right now. And I'm going to grab this link as well. Copy link. Here's the link to the donate page. And there we go. And that feels like a good spot to take a break for the morning. I'll be back at 1. I do have constraints this afternoon because I've got a ton of errands to run and paperwork to file and so on and so forth. I'll talk more about that this afternoon. Eastern NC ain't so bad. You know what? I'm not going to sign off, but I am going to go into be right back mode. My mic's working. It's just muted. Um, Nobody expected a Category 4 hurricane to hit 300 miles inland in the mountains. And all that water landing on the mountains, rolling down the mountainsides, bringing trees, mud, rocks, smashing through the highways that are cut into the sides of the mountains. It all had to collect in the riverbeds and the valleys started to fill up. And dams got stressed. I don't think any of the dams in North Carolina failed outright. They got really, really close, and some of them like overflowed. But I don't believe I've seen any actual reports of any of the dams up in the mountains fully failing. Not to say that large sections of the interstates are quite literally falling off the sides of the mountains. There's only a couple of ways in now. There were no ways in or out late last week. It's a mess, and it's a horror story, like the kind of horror story you never hope to see. So yeah, um, yeah, I'm still processing. My family's got a little bit of survivor guilt. We're like 45 minutes to an hour and a half drive east of there, and our power went out twice for an hour or so at a time, and we had a dead tree fall across the driveway and not break anything. We got exceptionally lucky, exceptionally lucky, and the town that my wife and I loved to go visit as often as we could is now virtually destroyed. It's it's something. So yeah, um, take care of your people. Take care of yourselves. I'll be back in a little less than 2 hours. Um, Please remember, be kind. Everybody's going through some crap. So yeah, until later on this afternoon, I'm that developer dad. Happy coding, friends.